Let's go through my K-pop collection, shall we? So I have been collecting since very early 2020, and since then I have gone back to collect previous groups that I used to stan back in 2015. I have caught up on older albums of groups that I currently stan. As of right now, I have 8 9-pocket binders, and I have 3 A4 binders and then 1 3-pocket binder. So I decided that I think it's finally time that we go through them all. So I decided for my Photocard collection that I would go in order of kind of the binders that are more important or ones that I update more frequently. So we are going to start off with my Stray Kids binder. Stray Kids are my alt group. For Stray Kids, I do collect every album. And then for the digipacks or the jewel cases, then I do collect my biases. So starting off, I started to collect Han and Felix as they are my top 2 biases. I do have some older Lino as well, just to kind of fill out the page. And so I started to collect Stray Kids first. They were my first group that I ever bought an album for. My first one was Levanter. And I bought that right before COVID started. And honestly, the Stray Kids collection did take me a while to complete, simply because trying to find the last few cards for Felix was a little bit hard. And so when I bought Levanter and started to collect copies, I was able to find a pre-order for the limited version. So I got Lino's Lenticular, and then I bought this one from my friend. And then the unit cards from Yellowwood, I did find a seller on eBay for those. And then we get into Go Live, which was my first comeback with Stray Kids. And this is also when I started to collect Lino fully. So this is where I added Lino onto my bias list. I added him onto my bias list well into standing Stray Kids, but I didn't add him to the collection until Go Live because I figured finding his older cards might be a little bit tricky. And so then for random inclusions, I do keep them in here as well. Just depends on what the inclusions are, if they fit. And so for Noisy, this is when I started to collect pre-order benefits. So I do have sub-K pre-order benefits for Noisy that I bought off of one of my friends on Twitter. And here's where we start with the OT8 set. So this was the pre-order that you would get if you just pre-ordered Noisy. So I kept the photo cards. And then for the set of thick, like flipbook cards, I ended up cutting them down to Monsta X size photo cards. And I do like how they look more so in a 9-pocket than I did keeping them in like a 4 or a 6. And same thing for the posters. I do have all the members' posters because I would feel bad leaving out Bangchan and Changbin's unit poster. So I have it in here. And here's my cat coming to say hello. So I got this card as a gift from one of my friends because she knows that I ult Han. And then here's where I really started to collect pre-order stuff. So this is where I started to collect OT8 stuff. And I did collect all the units simply because I bought enough albums to be able to trade for the rest of the units if I had to. And then for the postcards, I did pre-order from the Stray Kids shop. So I do have Hyunjin's postcard and IN's postcard. I have Han's in my living room in a frame, and my roommate ended up buying Bangchan's because Chan is her bias. And so the only thing missing from my Stray Kids collection is this Changbin postcard. That is it. That is the only thing that is missing. And it's not even that I can't find it. It's that I have not tried to look that thoroughly. So Maxident, the latest era for Stray Kids. I know Stray Kids is having a comeback in June, but as of filming this video, their last comeback was Maxident. And so Maxident was when I started to collect IN. IN became one of my biases after the June concert in Chicago. So now the members that I collect are Han, who is my ult, then Felix, Lino, and then IN. So I do collect all of them fully now going further. And then I felt okay just having the one pre-order of Lino. I don't feel like I need to have the rest of the members. And then we go into the OT8 stuff. This was more of I just had enough albums to collect OT8 rather than I was actively seeking out buying everything. But I am really happy with my Stray Kids collection. It has grown so much and I've spent a lot of time to try and finish it, and it is so well worth it. I love Stray Kids with my whole being. And I do collect Japanese albums. I will collect 2 versions of each release. I will collect the regular jewel case, and then I will also collect one of the, most likely the Zine version. And so as of right now, these are the photo cards that I have. Plus, I do plan to collect Han for the Japanese photo cards fully, so that's what this page is for, and that's why it's mostly empty. And then here was the Stray Kids roommates that I got. And then these are the photos that came with the DVD. So I put them in here since it's an OT8 set. And then here was the limited version, like door cards that don't really fit in any kind of pocket. So, but yeah, that is my entire Stray Kids collection. I do have a separate Han collection for specifically any of his special cards, but that's in one of the A4s that I will go into later. So next up in this binder is my ATEEZ and ONEUS collection. ATEEZ and ONEUS are another set of ults, and they ended up just fitting in one binder, but I will probably have to move them eventually. For ATEEZ, I do collect all albums. I will collect my member digipack or jewel cases, and I fully collect 3 members. So that would be Yeosang, Seonghwa, and Wooyoung. And so when I started to collect for ATEEZ, their anniversary album had just come out. And so my first comeback with them was Inception. And it was a really good comeback. Fantastic. This was when I started to collect an OT8 set of benefits from different, like from just one store. So I have the K-Town For You benefit set. And then this is where ATEEZ started doing 9 photo cards per member, and it made me want to scream, because this is also the era in which I started to want to collect Wooyoung. And then since Mingi wasn't in this set, I only have the 7. And then the other K-Town For You set. And so the Fever series was the only series that I collected an actual OT8 store benefit from, because I would buy 6 albums and then I would just buy the other ones that I needed. So then after that, I did not do that anymore and instead try to collect an OT8 set of something that came in the album. So specifically for Movement, the thing that I collected were the US cards. So I have a full set of the US cards because I had enough albums to do so. And then we move in with their latest comeback that I just finished. And I couldn't be more happy to. The Hug photo cards were honestly one of the easiest to find trades for. I was kind of surprised. And then these bunny cards, I have a whole story about these bunny cards, but basically DHL messed up. They delivered it not to my front door, but to my apartment complex front door. And so thankfully Makestar did resend them out. So I am so happy. And then I have the Season Songs sets. I only traded for Yeosang's because he was the easiest to trade for. And at the time I only buy a Seonghwa as well. And then here are just some extra cards that either I wanted to get all 3 of my biases for or didn't, or just extra benefits. Then I have a slightly hollow page plus my 2 DVD photo cards. And then this is the perfume plus the ATEEZ tour bag, Photocard. And then these were the sub case sets that came out with Bolnoria. My cat has the zoomies, apparently. And here's the OT Youth set. And then this page is very bare. I did not put any white sleeves in it like I usually do, but same thing with Han. I am starting to collect Yeosang's Japanese stuff fully. So I did sell all of my other Japanese photo cards that weren't Yeosang, so I plan to buy the rest of them. And for Paradigm, I have a pretty good bunch already, plus a couple of like benefit cards. And then Limitless was when I actually started to collect him fully, so I have a full Limitless collection. And then this is from the Fellowship Tour, I believe, from when they came to Chicago in January of last year. All right, and then we move on to One Us. So for my One Us collection, I do collect all of the albums. I also collect my biases, either digipacks or jewel cases, whatever they release. And as of right now, I do collect 3 members. When I started out, I only collected Soho and Hwanwoong, so that is why for the earlier sets, I only have them. This was a Bizent pre-order benefit from when I bought the light stick. My cat has the zoomies. And then this was one of the like pre-order cards from when I helped someone win a fan sign. So then here's where I started to collect Ito. Ito became my bias after the One Us in Pontiac show. And so I switched around my whole collection since then. So now my bias line goes Soho, Ito, Hwanwoong. So that was when I started to collect Ito fully. And also I have noticed that One Us cards are extremely easy to buy if you want to finish collections. I typically will, for my ult groups, buy enough albums to be able to trade photo cards for what I need. However, for One Us, it is really easy to just buy the last cards that you're missing. So that's what I've ended up doing for most eras since then. Oh, and I do have extra Xi'ans back here. This is from when I went to the Pontiac show and I bought the signed albums. It came with the Xi'an face card and with this binary code photo cards, so I just kept them because I can never not pull Xi'an. I have a Xi'an curse. And here's where they started to do more photo cards, which is crazy. And for One Us, I do try to get some pre-order benefits per era, at least one per member, like one set. So if I order from Make Star, I try to get like all of my biases. But I'm not too pressed on pre-order benefits for them, because if I like them, then I like them. I feel like I didn't explain myself clearly in the video, so I wanted to try again in a voiceover. I do have Raven photo cards. I did receive them before the allegations, and the only reason I kept them was to have complete sets. However, I do not support Raven, and I support One Us as a 5-member group. And I thought that these cards were super cool. Like, I would totally actually use these as playing cards, but I don't really play any games that involve playing cards, so. And then I do have a full page of, I believe these are Apple Music pre-order benefits. The store that I ordered from ended up giving out 2 benefits per album that you bought. And so I bought 3 of the main version and then the 3 digipacks. And so I had enough for a full set plus 1 more member. So thankfully they gave me my 3 biases, so I couldn't be more grateful. And for One Us, this is the only thing that I'm still missing for them are the other bigger inclusions, and it's kind of hard to find them, so I'm not too stressed about searching for them. And then this was the tour photo cards from their first tour, and then these are the photo cards from the second tour. This was a freebie that I got, but it fit with the theme, so I wanted to find it. If I could find Ito's, I would love to put him in here. This was if you bought more than, I think it was $60 worth of merch. So I do have Soho and I have Wonwoongs. If I could find Ito's, that would be fantastic, but I don't think I will. And then this is the random page of just freebies that I got, but they were so cute that I didn't want to like put them anywhere else. And then I do keep my OneWe page back here because I don't want to separate OneUs and OneWe, but I don't collect them fully or anything. I just keep them in here. And then these are a couple of like freebies and a note from one of my friends. But yeah, that is both my OneUs and my ATEEZ collection. I have, again, worked very hard on trying to complete these. And hopefully I will finish the last couple that I need for each collection so that way I can be done with this binder and ready for comebacks. Since ATEEZ doesn't have a comeback, but OneUs does. OneUs is coming back in a couple of days of me recording this, so I need to set up for that. Alright, so next is my boy group binder. So these are for pretty much any boy group that I more thoroughly collect. Any collection that kind of grows a little bit quicker than some of my other ones I keep in here. And I start off this binder with a couple of P1 Harmony stuff that shouldn't be in here anymore. But I start off this binder with Elast. Elast is one of my other old groups. I ended up standing them right after they debuted. They debuted right around my birthday, so I felt that it was a birthday gift to me. And if you are in L-Ring, you will know who these lovely men are, but if you don't, then I do fully collect for Rano, Choyeon, and Wonhyuk. They are my biases. I love them all so much. I hate that it's so hard to try and find cards for them, but I do have their collection complete. I am missing Wonhyuk's postcards, however, I do have them coming from Mercari Japan. So I have been searching for those postcards for like 2 years, and I'm so glad to finally found them. But yes, I do collect every single album card for them. I collect every album for them. I don't really focus on pre-order benefits all that much. Oh, these were from the Spring to You comeback for Elast You. They never had actual photo cards, but there was someone on Instagram who was making photo cards out of the pictures that they dropped for people to make photo cards from. So I do have a full set of Choyeon because he was my bias in that. And then here is where I started to have some pre-order benefits. I bought these from my friend, and she was able to sell me all of these lovely benefits. So I did it to just fill out the page. Didn't really care where they were from all that much. And I don't do that too much in terms of not getting a full set, but for Elast it's kind of hard to find a full set. And then this is from their Season's Greetings. So I do randomly pick Season's Greetings depending on the concept that I liked. And my friend, again, was selling the Season's Greetings, so I do have the full set of the baseball club. And then on the back, I have my Roar postcards, just because I didn't want to put in an extra page when I still had gaps I could fill. So for Roar, I do also have Roman's photo cards, and that was because I only bought 2 sets of albums because there were only 2 of them, and I had enough photo cards to collect another member, and so it was between Roman and Baekgyeol for me. So I decided to collect Roman because I did pull both of his photo cards. So I have the pet card set, and I ordered from Makestar, and Makestar did an interesting thing with this comeback where they ended up giving you 2 photo cards per album, 1 holo, 1 non-holo. And so I do have a full 8-member set. However, not all of them are holo, so I do have it set up this way, and I do actually really like how it looks. I would like to find the other like photo cards, but I'm not too picky about it. And next we have Ghost 9. Ghost 9 is another one of my favorite groups. They're not an ult, but they are up there. And I do collect for members. My ult is Shin. Then I also collect Kangsung, Woojin, and Junsong. I do also have the Teen Teen album because I found it at my local FYE, and so I pulled Taesung's Photocard, so I still have it. But I collect all albums for Ghost 9. I collect their bigger inclusions as well, as you can see from the character cards. And I still had this Photocard when they announced that Taesung was leaving the group, and so I kept it. I didn't want to get rid of him. But I do also collect at least one full set of benefits for Ghost 9 as well. They didn't start doing benefits until this era, the Seoul era. So I do have K-Town for You benefits from there. And this was when they started to do more than one Photocard per album, but you would only get one. And I said I was only going to collect Shin and whoever else I pulled if I pulled someone. But then I ended up pulling 3 of my 4 biases, so I just decided to collect them fully. I didn't really care too much about the sticker sheet though, so I only have Junsong's. And then for Arcade V, I was only going to collect Shin, so I bought 4 albums to get enough photocards for him. However, with those 4 albums I ordered from K-Town For You, I got into a fan sign. So I felt like I had to fully collect for Ghost 9, and thankfully there's someone that I made friends with on Twitter and Instagram who is a group order manager and had a bunch of photocards left over. So she was a saving grace in getting the last of the photocards that I needed. Okay, so the next group that I have in here is Gravity. Gravity is another one of my favorite groups. They are up there in the line. They're not an ult though. I do collect 3 members. Woobin is my ult bias, and then I also collect Taeyoung and Jungmo. So I collect every album version that they have, as well as I only collect Woobin's jewel cases since they recently started doing jewel cases. And for some albums, I will also collect pre-order benefits, but it's more so of if I just get there in time. But collecting for Gravity is honestly a lot of fun. Trading wise, it can be kind of hard simply because there's not that many Lovity out there that I've noticed, and a lot of Lovity I found are in Europe, so that's kind of cool. But they are pretty easy to buy photocards for, so typically I only buy 1 set of albums for them, and then I'll buy the rest of the cards that I need. And it's funny for Gravity, for the first time they started doing units, I ended up having my biases have a line. So specifically for like Woobin, he had a line of maknae for the unit cards. For Jungmo, it was Young Line, so that was what I did for that. And then because there was enough space, I got an Alan circle card because I love Alan Ma. I make fun of him a lot, but I love Alan Ma. I also will sometimes get Sedum stuff just to finish out a page. But what's interesting about Gravity is that I was actually there for their debut, but I did not end up standing Gravity until my turn came out. So I was kind of late to the party. Okay, and so New Wave is when I started to only collect Woobin's units, and I don't feel like I need to go back to collect because I was able to fill out a 9-pocket page. However, with collecting Woobin, this was when they started to do jewel cases. So I will have Woobin's jewel case in the middle and then his unit with Minnie here, and they are on the way to me from a lovely seller. So the only other thing that I'm missing is Jungmo's sticker sheet. And then I have Woobin's mini poster there. So their newest comeback was Masterpiece. And so I am missing quite a few photocards for Masterpiece. However, I do have a group order claim coming in. I am able to finish a lot of this collection. I think I will still need like 3 cards and 3 units after this though. And then here's a pre-order page. I do have K-Town For You that I have up for trade. I do also have MMT round 2 coming in from the group order. So I do want to get one more set of pre-order benefits, preferably with a different outfit concept to make it all look nice. And then again, following the trend of Woobin only units with his jewel case in the middle. Then I have the puzzle pieces in here. I don't know where else to put them, but I do like the puzzle pieces, so they just kind of stay in the binder. So next I have Only One Of, and even though they do seem kind of out of place with their age, since the other three groups previously are, most of the youngers anyway, much younger than them, they do kind of fit in here with the time that I started to stan them, as well as how old the group is, since they are about to have their 4-year anniversary, I believe. When I started to stan Only One Of, they only had 2 album versions per release, and so I do collect every version of every album for Only One Of. That does include all the individual member covers for Instinct Part 1 and Instinct Part 2. Yes, I am insane, I know. However, I was able to go back and buy Line Sun Goodness. That was before they stopped making it, so I was not able to get Dot Point Jump, so I am still missing that, but I do collect every album for them. And for Only One Of, I don't collect a specific member, simply because trying to trade for Only One Of historically had been really hard, so I kind of gave up on it. But I do have the first few albums here, and then the Instinct Part 1. I only bought 1 copy for each member, so I only have 1 full set. And then this was from the Unknown Art Picks 2. And then here is Instinct Part 2. I do have another pre-order benefit. I was able to pre-order from K-Town For You, and I got Junji and Rie. Rie is in the back of my phone case because with the time of me filming this, the Toronto concert happened a couple of days ago, and I just came back from that, so I had Rie in my phone case. And then here is for the Underground Idol series, plus a 9 pre-order benefit that I got. And here's where we have the Soul Collection. So this was the last comeback that they had, and I was able to pull both of Junji's. However, I'm trading my friend Rie because they had pulled Rie twice. They had pulled Rie twice, so I ended up wanting to trade them so that way they at least had a different card. And Rie flew up my bias list, so I'm okay with that. So I have the black fillers in here until they release more albums. And then this was a postcard set that you would get when you pre-ordered the full set of Instinct Part 2. So it is a calendar postcard set. And then I have a Junji and Rie postcard from when I pre-ordered the Soul Collection. And then I have 9 and Mill over here because Mill is my other bias and Only One Of. So now we have Extraordinary Heroes, and boy oh boy, I collect every album for Extraordinary Heroes as well. Again, at the time of me filming this, Deadlock just came out, however I don't have my albums for them yet. So I do have all of the versions of Deadlock, both the main versions. I do only have my 3 biases for the digipacks. And if you can't tell by here, I bias Ode, Junhan, and Gunno in that order. Ode is my ult. I love that boy. I think he's hilarious, and his birthday is 1 day apart from mine. So I feel like it's just meant to be. So I have been lacking really hard on Hello World. Hello World was really hard to try and find photo cards for, as well as the 4-cut, which proved to be a lot more difficult than I thought, but I just gotta have to bite the bullet and buy them. For the next album though, it was a lot easier to find. I was able to actually pull this photo card, and I screamed because it is my favorite photo card of all time. It is like up there in my top 5 favorite photo cards like ever. And so where I pre-ordered from, I did get benefits for, and I ended up being able to trade for this Junhan. I had a Jungsu that I was able to trade. And for the unit cards or the group cards, I was able to get most of them. And then my one friend actually gifted me the US version. So that was really nice. And someone else gifted me another version just because we were trading, so that was very, very kind. And I do also have the Polaroids. The Polaroids were decently easy to get. I was kind of surprised by that, but I do have a full set. Now, moving on, the last group that is in this binder is Zikers. So Zikers just debuted, and I actually saw them when ATEEZ went on their tour. They had opened for them in Chicago, and they were absolutely fantastic. I knew that I wanted to at least keep an eye on them after seeing them on stage, and once their album came out, I immediately fell in love. The music is definitely my style, so I did decide to collect 4 Zikers. So my biases that I collect for is Hunter, Sumin, and Jinshik. Currently they only have the one release out now, 2 versions. I think moving forward I will collect both versions or all versions of an album. Who knows if they do digipacks? I swear to God, KQ, if you do more digipacks, there will be consequences, and that consequence will be that my wallet is empty. I do have them split up by album version as of right now, as well as a pre-order benefit page. So I do have Hunter and Jinshik's Hello 82 benefits. I was at the pop-up that they had in Detroit. So I did pull Hunter's, and then I also pulled Junmin and Junghoon. And so I actually ended up trading my Junmin for Sumin, and that is on the way. And then I was able to buy Jinshik's from one of my friends. So then I also have the US version as well as the Barnes & Noble. In the Barnes & Noble, I was able to pull Sumin, and that was enlightening. I was so thrilled. And then I do have Hunters on the way in a trade. And then here are the Polaroids. And then this is set up for the, I don't think it's a polka version, but I do have them set up for that smaller album that they had just released. I joined 2 group orders, 1 for each version. And what I am planning to do is that since you get an OT10 set of photo cards on these 2 pages, I am going to put all of the other members besides Hunter. Then I'm going to put Hunter's in here, plus his pre-order benefits that I joined for. So that is why this page is empty, but it is set up. Wow, that was a long binder. So that is all of the main boy groups that I collect. This binder does grow decently quickly, and I know soon I'm going to have to split it up because it is very full. But yeah, it's a thick one. It's a 3-inch binder, so I might need a new one soon. So the next binder that I have is my NCT binder. I do collect all 3 members of NCT. I have, at this point, I believe 9 biases, and that is before NCT Tokyo debuts. So we'll see if that number grows. For NCT, I primarily collect whatever albums I feel I need to. And this means any of the, I would say, regular sized albums. So I say, like, for Neozone, I only collected the 2 book versions, not the big package version. And then I just buy the photo cards that I need. Same thing for Dream. I do not have the first album, but I do have the other ones up till now. And then for Wavy, I do have all the versions of Wavy because Wavy is one of my old groups. So I start off this binder with the group stuff. So I have NCT 2018, 21, and 22 in here. And whatever they do in the future for group-wise, I do have these in here. From NCT 127, my biases are Johnny. He is one of my ults. I also bias Yuta and Jungwoo. And then my biases for Wavy were actually not in 2018. My biases are Hendery and Xiaojun. Xiaojun is my ult. My biases were not in 2018, so I did decide to collect 10s. And then my biases in NCT Dream are Jaemin, Jisung, and Jeno. So then we go into NCT 2021, and this was terrible. This was the worst to collect. I was only going to collect my top biases from each unit, but then I ended up pulling my other biases and I did not want to trade them. I would feel really bad trading them. So Jaemin is a collection that I ended up adding on. So Jaemin is a late collecting goal of mine. I do have a lot of his photo cards though, so hopefully it won't be too bad to collect. But up until recently, my top bias had been Jeno, but then I don't know what it is about Jaemin, but he just kind of took over. Maybe I've just been in denial for years. I don't know. But I did end up fully collecting for everyone. I found someone who was selling the rest of NCT 21 photo cards for like $4 a card, so I just saved up my next paycheck after that and bought everything else. So I do also bias Soonchen, and Soonchen has only done group stuff, so he only has the group photo cards. However, once he does finally go into a unit, and I am hoping he goes into NCT Tokyo with Shotaro, I will be collecting his cards fully as well. And then we go into Universe, and so this is where you can fully see again who I collect for, as well as I have Jaemin missing. But yeah, so currently I bias 9 members, and I know that's kind of insane, but you know, rip my wallet. So I do also have the postcards in here. I ended up joining group orders, not for Universe, but for the other ones. So if you by chance know the group order manager, Jen, on Twitter, she is a Canadian group order manager. She is absolutely fantastic. I have gone through so many group orders from her, and she is a reason why I've been able to almost fully complete my NCT collection to this day. I highly recommend her. I was able to get the rest of these postcards from her, so no, I did not buy 8 or 9, 10 copies of Universe. I only bought 4, but I was able to buy the rest of the postcards from her and some of the other photo cards from her as well. So then set up, we have my NCT 127 collection, and I do go back to Cherry Bomb. That was the first set that I collected because that is when Johnny started to be active in the group. My Cherry Bomb photo cards are a little bit later, but I did not want to collect Fire Truck Yuta. I think the hair is atrocious, so I just don't have it. But my first comeback with NCT was Punch, and so I was able to go back and collect the other stuff for them, plus the dreaded circle cards. I know a lot of people don't collect them, but I did. Then here are the postcards. I am only missing Jungwoo's postcard, and I know that I can find it. I just need to do that. But here are the Cherry Bomb cards. I obviously got Johnny's because Johnny is my ult, but I also collected Yuta's because his was easy to find. And then we have Sticker, and I was able to buy Sticker in person. And then I also have the jewel case versions, which I did buy for all 3 of my biases. I do collect the jewel cases for all the NCT units. I don't know if I'm going to do that moving forward because there were 2 photo cards per jewel case. So going on how photo cards are usually priced, it would make sense to just buy the jewel case and try to trade for. However, the most recent comeback with AO only had 1 photo card, so I did get all 3, but I don't know if I'm going to do that again moving forward. And then we have Favorite, plus the little bookmarks. I do kind of collect pretty much everything, every album inclusion. And then here we have 2 baddies. I am missing this Yuta, and this is the only Yuta that I'm missing from 2 baddies, plus the postcards, but I feel like I could find the postcards elsewhere if I wanted to. And then we get into Ayo. I am waiting for Jen's group order, so I do have photo cards on the way to me at some point. I don't know what I have yet. They haven't arrived to her since it was for a fan sign, but I do at least have, I bought some versions for myself. And then the little coasters. I just realized how messed up this page looks because I keep having to push the coasters around, but they don't fit anywhere else, so I just keep them in there. And then next we have my NCT Dream collection. So as you can see, I do have Jeno and Jisung complete. The only comeback that Jaemin was in for NCT Dream where there were actually photo cards was for We Go Up. So that's why there's a paper here for him. I don't know if I'll ever find the card, but we'll see. And then We Boom. We Boom Jaemin is so hard to find, but Reload was my first comeback with NCT Dream. That is when I started to collect them. I do love Raiden. It is one of my favorite songs. Then we go into Hot Sauce and Hello Future. I'm so glad that they actually made like a 9-pocket spread look good. And then these Polaroids, I don't know if I'm ever going to find them because finding the colored ones is so hard, but someone can dream. And then this is the last Jisung that I need, and it is from one of the versions of Beatbox, but I can't find it anywhere for a reasonable price. And then we have Candy, and Candy was the last comeback that Dream has had as of this video, so that is complete. And lastly, we have Wavy. So Wavy is an alt group, however, I do not have them in a separate binder simply because there's not that much for Wavy. There now is enough photo cards out of all of their releases to fill a 9-pocket page, so that is what I have, and I'm very glad that they stopped doing the circle cards. Oh my gosh, this Xiaodun is so messed up. Hold on. So I'm glad that they stopped doing the circle cards, so now I just have the pre-order benefits here. This was a K-Town For You pre-order benefit from Phantom, so I just keep that in here. And then I also have Hendery's page, and the Hendery ones are messed up too. That is a main reason why I dislike the circle cards, because they move on their own more so than the regular photo cards do. But yeah, same thing. I have his K-Town pre-order benefit there too. And so when I got into Wavy, I got into them before Turn Back Time, so this was my first comeback with them, and that is also why I have 10's postcard. I originally biased 10 and Hendery, and Xiaojun was my wrecker. However, after they did the Riot collab, that was around the time when I switched 10 and Xiaojun as my bias and bias wrecker. So I still had the postcards for them for that reason. And then I did not have any 3-pocket pages for Phantom, so that is why I still have their postcards on the back. And then I did get the Our Home photo book with their pets, and I thought it was super cute, so I have them here. And then I did not buy the season's greetings, however, I found the photo packs for these cards, and I thought they were just absolutely amazing, so I wanted them. So this is kind of some extra Wavy stuff, including like the calendar pages for them and the large posters that they had, like poster card posters. Plus the Our Home photo packs that I bought. And then I did buy their season's greetings for this past year for 2023. And I did not want to get rid of any of my photo cards, so I do have them here just at the back. And I kind of liked how I set it up. I think it looks good. So yeah, and that is it for the NCT binder. It is pretty thick. I have already changed to a different binder for them once. I'll probably have to do it again. However, I don't know if NCT is going to grow anytime soon besides either doing another group comeback or when they debut NCT Tokyo finally. But we will cross that bridge when we get to it. So the next binder that I have is my girl group binder. I don't actually collect a lot of girl groups. However, there are a couple that I do. I have actually downsized my girl group collection. I used to collect a couple more groups, but I either decided to sell the cards and albums that I had or just simply stop collecting them. But I do start off this binder with my alt girl group, which is Purple Kiss. I do collect every album version for Purple Kiss, as well as my biases, digipacks or jewel cases. I kind of go back and forth on who I want to collect. I do want to collect, for sure, Yuki and Swan, because Yuki is my old bias and Swan is my other bias. However, sometimes I want to collect Ade too, so I do get one photo card of her just to put in the middle to fill out the space, and it's my favorite photo card of the album of hers. Plus a random Pixie bookmarks that they had. I do collect Pixie as well. I stopped collecting them recently, but I do have their bookmarks still here, so that way it fills up the space. But yeah, starting with Mem, I do collect a full set of benefits for the group, simply because I do love the group so much. They are one of my ults. And then I have June's postcards because I ended up pulling both of them. So I decided instead of to try to collect for Ade, I'll just keep June. Because also this was when June left the group. And I was very, very sad about it. However, she's still in RBW, so I still get to see her, but it is very sad. So then I have different pages for my members, plus a full benefit set. I believe this is Apple Music, I want to say. And then the only thing I don't have are the film strips, but I don't care that much about the film strip, so I'm not too pressed about it. And then this is their latest comeback with Cabin Fever. So I do have the last 3 cards on the way. I did buy them. And then that would complete my collection. For the Polka albums, when they were doing the Make Star holo cards, I ended up buying all 6 just to get a full pre-order set. And then I realized that every Polka album came with enough cards to collect for one member, so I just collected the entire group for the Polka because it just made sense. And then I have the bigger inclusions for Cabin Fever. I do have this Swan on the way. And then the only thing that I will need is Swan's bigger cards. So this very empty page starts my Billy collection. I do collect Billy. I will collect a full set of at least the main version albums. They haven't come out with jewel cases or digipacks yet, so I don't think I'll buy jewel cases and digipacks for them. However, I will buy all the versions of the main albums. So I start off my Billy collection, obviously, with their first album. I have only bought one version of it, and I ended up pulling Moonsua. So you can't tell by this page, but I will be collecting Moonsua, Seun, and Suki. They are my 3 biases in the group. So I have enough spaces here for all 3 of them. And then this is where the Village of Perception Chapter 2 starts. I will be collecting Conscious and Unconscious Soul. However, I do not have it yet, so I didn't set up for it yet. And then I have a full benefit set from Pat Bingsu. I am not collecting Pat Bingsu, however, the K-pop store that I went to ended up having sets of pre-order benefits, and so I have a full set of Pat Bingsu pre-order benefits as well as 2 of the Village of Perception Chapter 2s. So it is looking pretty empty, but it's just because I only just now started to collect for Billy just recently, so that is why it is decently empty. And then here is the extra benefit sets that I have. I am missing Moonsua from this set, but I can probably find it on the postcards. And then this is for the Village of Perception Chapter 3. I did just buy the album, and so I was able to pull my biases in 8 of the 12 cards, so that is insane. So I do have many of the cards, and I'm looking for trades currently for the rest of them before I start buying. Oh, I'll eventually need it because of the different sets that they have, so that's why I have it in here. Plus, I have the postcards from the albums as well. And then here is the start of my IVE collection. So I do also collect IVE. If you can't tell, I like Starship groups. I don't know why. So I do collect Gaul as well as Liz. I do not have any Liz photo cards at this moment because I was trying to find trades for Gaul first. However, I will be collecting her. I am missing this album, but I do have a photo card up for trade for the 3rd version. So I collect all of the album versions for the photo books. I do not collect the jewel cases, nor do I collect the pre-order IDs. So that is why they are missing. And I have not bought the newest release yet. I need to wait till I get paid to do that. And then the last group that I have in this binder is Pixie. I used to collect Pixie. I don't anymore. I did collect at least one set for them, so I do have full sets of the first 3 albums, I believe, for them. And my biases were Satbyul and Ella. Put an F in the chat. So I don't want to say that is the main reason I stopped collecting. However, that was a big part of why I chose to stop collecting, as well as just money-wise. So I do have all album sets for them. So that is my very tiny Pixie collection. It is pretty hard to trade for Pixie since they are pretty nugu, but I do love them and I love their music. I do wish them everything, and I am so mad that I wasn't able to see them on tour, because how their tour lined up almost perfectly in terms of when they would do dates with only one of, and I had bought only one of tickets already, so I was not going to be able to make it to Pixie, unfortunately. But that is my girl group binder. I do have one more girl group I collect, but they do have a binder all to themselves. So this binder right here houses my Twice collection. They are a group that has a binder all to themselves simply because of how many photo cards they have. They have a lot, and so they were previously in with my other girl groups, but then they just had so much to collect that I decided to give them their own album. So we start off with Summer Nights. That is when I started to collect Twice. I am not going back any further for Twice, and I do just kind of keep what I pull, but I do have all the versions of the albums since Summer Nights. Besides the jewel cases and the digipacks, I do only collect my biases. So most of these albums for Twice I was able to buy when I was on vacation. So I ended up traveling to New York. And so when I stopped in New Jersey, I did go to a K-pop store in New Jersey. I went to the K-pop store in New York, and I was able to buy most of the albums there. It was kind of hard to find the older albums, and so going to those stores really helped me out a lot. So I do keep all of my inclusions in here in terms of all of the bigger stuff as well. So like these message cards, they don't 100% fit in here, but they do for the most part, so I just keep them in here. And so Eyes Wide Open was the first comeback I was there for. However, Taste of Love was the first comeback that I bought. So that was when I started to get into Twice, and so that is why I also have the pre-order benefit sets for Taste of Love going forward. And of course, I just put the group card on the back. And then I do have 2 Target versions, and then the last version they didn't have at Target, so I bought it at Barnes & Noble, so that is why that is missing. And then we go into Scientist. I need to trade this one of the Changs because I don't need duplicates. Plus, I think I have a duplicate. Yeah, I have a duplicate Mina, so I need to trade that as well. But again, I keep the pre-order benefit sets in here simply because they all look great. And with Formula of Love, I do have a page of just group cards because I do have 2 extra group cards in here. I need to put fillers in here too. And then the bigger postcards. And then here is where we start off with between 1 and 2. So between 1 and 2 is when I started to collect one OT9 set of my favorite concept. So I believe it was the gray concept is the one that I like the most. So I do have an OT9 set of that. And then these are the other photo cards that I pulled. And then I'm missing one of the Target versions because I did pull 2 Dahyun, but I need to find a trade, and I have not found a trade because the Twice want to trade tag on Instagram is insane. Plus my extra Chewy because she just doesn't fit. And then we have the pre-order benefits plus the groups on the back, because I don't believe they did group cards for this comeback. And the postcards. And then the other inclusions. And then now we have their latest comeback. And again, here's my OT9 set. I didn't really care which version of the outdoor concept I got, as long as it was one of the outdoor concepts. So I do have a full member set here, plus the extra cards that I had. And then this was the first time they did digipacks, so I do have digipacks here. I do have this Dahyun on the way. And then I have the extra unit cards. I do have 1 unit of each line plus the target cards here. And then we have the pre-orders. Then the extra inclusions from the digipacks. And then I do have a page of solo stuff. So Nayeon is the only one who has come out with an actual solo album with photo cards and everything. So I do have a page here of that. And as you can see, I do have her extra stuff here that doesn't really fit anywhere else. So when other members do make their solo comebacks, I will at least be buying 1 version for the solos, depending on how many versions they do and who releases what solo. But as of right now, that's why that page is pretty blank. So that is the entirety of my Twice binder. And so now we can kind of get into any of my slower collections. So here is my slower collections binder. I do have the BTS meal bag in the front of this because after the BTS meal event had ended, they had so many extra bags at the McDonald's that was near my place that they just gave me a bag. So I don't know if they clocked me as a K-pop stan, but I don't stan BTS. However, I think it's funny, so I have it anyway. So this album currently has 3 groups in it. The first in here is Omega X. Omega X is very much so up there in terms of my stan list. They are fantastic, amazing, splendid. Insert Lady Gaga meme here. I collect all album versions for them. If you know what happened with Omega X and their company, they currently don't have a company to be under right now, and they are doing everything by themselves. So they just released a single, however, they have not released an album yet, and I don't foresee them releasing an album anytime soon. So I did end up putting them in the slower collections binder. They were in with my other boy group collections. However, I have since moved them into this binder. So I collect Jaehyun, Huichan, Seben, and Taedong fully. I do have their tour photo cards. Someone was so graciously selling on Instagram. I did go to their tour, and I was the VIP tier. However, since I went to Chicago pretty much middle of the tour, I never ended up getting any of the photo cards that I was promised. So I was able to buy these off of someone, and then I do have their showcase photo cards that I bought off of someone from Twitter, plus the postcards of all of my biases as well. So I did buy their debut album. I did start standing them right after their debut, probably not too long, maybe a month after their debut. And I did end up ordering from Makestar when they were doing a second round of benefits, and so I did buy 6 albums. However, I was never able to sell my Hyuk and Junghoon cards, so I ended up just keeping them in later now. Plus, I did buy the 7 on Twitter because I was so mad that he did not have the hair, but it's okay. It's okay. And then I have the film strips, and then I do have Jaehan and Hangyom's as well. I ended up pulling 4. I ended up pulling 4 of his film strip, so I decided to keep 1. And then here's where I got pre-order benefits for them as well. This one was so hard to find, and I was able to find it on Twitter, like within the depths of Twitter. So I was very thankful for that. And then I have their bigger postcards as well. And then here's the Let Me Like photo cards. And then I did end up getting enough to have multiple of the photo by Jaehyun. So I do have Hangyum here, as well as Yechan here. Yechan is one of my wreckers. I have Hangyum because we ended up pulling 4 out of the 6 albums that me and my friend got together. So I have him there. And then I only have Jaehyun and Huichan's of the page inserts. However, I do want to get the other ones, but I don't foresee anyone selling them anytime soon. And then we have Swim, and so I do have all of the members here. I did pre-order these, however, the only benefit I got was Huichan, and I didn't find trades for any of the others, so I ended up selling the others and called it good. And then I have the little mini bookmarks. I do have extras of Jaehan and Yechan here. So then next in the binder is Baekhyun. I only collect his solo stuff fully. So I do have all of Baekhyun's solo albums. For his solo albums, I will collect all of the albums. Baekhyun is an ult of mine, and he is actually one of my original biases from back when I stan EXO in 2014. That was when I got into K-pop. So I do have his City Lights here, as well as some of his Japanese cards. I was able to get all of his Japanese albums as well, and the photo cards, so I put them in here because it just filled out the page really nicely. And then I have his Delight album, plus the message cards. I do want to get another message card to fill the space here. It is just kind of hard to find though because it is an older album. Then I have the bigger postcards, and I do, again, want another postcard to put here. And then we move on to Bambi, and this was his last one before he enlisted in the military, but now he is back. And so I am very excited for another Baekhyun comeback whenever he decides to do one. And then the last group that I have in here is GOT7. GOT7 is another one of my original K-pop groups that I stand in 2014. I do have biases, and they are Bam Bam and Mark. However, Youngjae has always been kind of up there on my bias list, so I only started collecting with 7 for 7, so I have both of the versions here, the regular and the repackage. And then we moved into Miracle. And so when I started off collecting for GOT7, I didn't actually collect my biases. However, the first comeback that I had back with GOT7 when I got back into K-pop was for Die. Yes, that's the name of it. My first comeback for GOT7 was Die, and so I did collect all of Mark's and all of Bam Bam's, plus a couple of Youngjae's to fill out the page. And so since I pre-ordered Die, I did end up getting 5 of those little booklets that you would get if you pre-ordered. And so it came with 5 of the big postcards, the bookmarks, and the mirror cards. So I did end up collecting all 7 of them because I would feel bad if I collected 5 of the 7. And I did not want to sell my extras. So I have them set up in a 1-page like this. And they do move a lot, so I just try to be careful with them. As you can see. There, that's better. And then this was for the last album that they had before they left JYP. So I did collect Bam Bam and Mark, as well as a pre-order benefit, but then I also collected an OT7 set of the Prism cards. This photo card. This one right here. Took me a year and like 4 months to find, at least. It took me so long to find this photo card because everyone loves JB. And I'm still not 100% complete. I'm still missing the pre-order benefits from them, so I'm missing JB's Polaroid, as well as Jin Young's film strip. And then we move into the solo albums. So I do get Bam Bam solo albums, as well as Youngjae's. I know that Mark does have a solo album out, however, it's just 1, and I don't believe it comes with photo cards, so I decided not to get it, but Bam Bam's did. So I have them right now in order of just kind of when they released. So for Young Jay's Colors, I did get all of his photo cards because I found them for super cheap. With buying both versions, you get 4 cards. So I was only missing the other 4, and I found someone who was selling them for super cheap, so I got them. So I do have multiple albums in here. So this is Bam Bam's B. This is from JB's first solo album, plus the pre-order benefit. And then these are from the GOT7 album that they released once they were under Warner Music Korea. So this is kind of a amalgamation of cards, but there's not enough cards per album to dedicate a whole page to, so they're all here. I do not have Bam Bam's Sour and Sweet yet. That is, again, a new paycheck type of deal. And then I just have a little bit of bigger inclusions from other albums that I don't want to dedicate a whole page to. So yeah, this is my slower collection binder. It is pretty small. I might have to get a bigger one depending on when comebacks happen, but after this I only have one more 9-pocket binder. And so here is the last 9-pocket binder I have. I affectionately call this binder the I used to collect binder. So these are all groups that I have since stopped collecting, or they are so slow that I don't know when they're ever going to have a comeback again. So they are in here. With the previous binder, I know that comebacks will happen. However, with this one, it's very near and far as to when another comeback would happen. I do have a Baekhyun picture here because he used to be in here. However, I have moved him to the other binder. So starting off, we do have Boyfriend. As I've said previously, I am a Starship stan for some reason. So I do have Boyfriend in here. They were my very, very first K-pop group that I ever got into. So I do have most of their older Korean albums, besides the ones that I feel like I would have to scour eBay for. And then I do have their photo cards from Adonis. I was part of the relaunch project for BF, so they were doing different packages on Mixstar, so I was part of the package that included a full benefit set, plus 2 pre-order benefits, as well as a Polaroid and a postcard set. So I keep them in here. I think of them very fondly. They are still one of my favorite groups. I love listening to their music for nostalgia purposes. And then this was from the photo book that they released after Adonis. They did have a full set of photo cards in there, as well as it came with a pre-order benefit from Makestar. And this is just one of the, or 2 of the postcards that they had in there. Next is VIX, and so VIX, I do have all of VIX's albums starting, I believe, from Hyde. And so they didn't release multiple versions of albums until Udevix. So I do have all of the albums starting from there. So I do not have any of their older ones, nor do I have their Japanese ones. And since VIX is not looking to be releasing an album anytime soon, even though they're still active, I do have them in here. And I do want to get another postcard for here. With Udevix, they only came with these 2, but I do want to get another one to fill out the page. It's just trying to find it. And then I do have a page for The Rose. I do not have any of The Rose's albums. However, at one of the K-pop events that I went to, someone was selling their photo cards, and so I was able to get these for a really, really, really good price. I do have The Rose in here. I do want to get their newest album. I loved their newest album. I did go see them on tour. I'm so mad I didn't buy their album when I was there. However, I will order it at some point. And then next I have Monsta X. So Monsta X is a collection that I did stop collecting, but I did not sell any of the albums for. So I started collecting Monsta X with Are You There? And I stopped collecting after No Limit. So I did try to collect at least one photo card of Changyun and Juhan because they are my biases. It's not that I stopped liking Monsta X. I still love Monsta X very dearly. It was more of the albums overwhelmed me. I would collect 2 of the 4 versions that they would release, and that ended up just becoming a lot with how much Stray Kids and ATEEZ and ONEUS would release. So I decided to drop them, but I still have the photo cards because I love them. I do want to try and find another Changyun photo card. I just have not been looking yet. And then I have their bigger inclusions here from all of their previous eras. Oh, plus the card, because these never want to stay in the same spot. And then here I have Super M plus 10 plus Taemin. So for Super M, they haven't had a comeback in a long time, and I know that they hinted at a comeback back in January. However, it is now May, and I have not seen anything come back. However, now that Taemin is back, now that Baekhyun is back, I don't doubt that they would do a comeback before we have Kai and Taeyoung in list. So I hope that's the case. I did buy 2 copies of Taemin's Never Gonna Dance Again album, so those are the photo cards from there. And then I have 10's circle cards from the first 3 albums, and I did not want to get rid of them, so they are instead here. Then I have Baekhyun and 10's postcards. So I do have a 10 page and a Baekhyun page, so this is entirely all of his Super M stuff. And of course, Baekhyun Froggy photo card, never to be seen for a decent price. And then in here I have EXO. I do collect EXO albums, at least 1 version per release, besides for Monster. I did collect all the versions for Monster because it was one of my favorite albums. But I pretty much just keep who I pull. So if I did collect someone, it would be Baekhyun and Sehun. They are my biases. And I ended up just having very good luck. Plus Schumann. Schumann likes me. I don't know why. But they haven't released an album since Don't Fight the Feeling. So that is why there are actual inserts here. And then I have their bigger inclusions. And then I have P1 Harmony. I ended up stopping collecting P1 Harmony. I did collect from their first album up until Zero In, I believe was the name of it. And it was more of another, I needed to drop a collection just so that way I could focus more on the K-pop groups that I was really into. So I do still have all of my photo cards, and I have all of the box albums. So I did sell my Zero In albums. And I did go see them on tour too, and they were absolutely fantastic. And I love their music still. This was the tour card that I got. I got Intak, and I adore him. I think he's precious. And then next is Kingdom. Kingdom, again, is another group that I had to stop collecting. I still have all of the albums that I had. However, I just had to stop because of money-wise. If I did collect a member, it would be Moojin. I love Moojin. That is my baby. I adore him. He is so funny, so sweet. And I stopped collecting with Dan's album, so that was the last album that I had. And their postcards. And then I have this divider here just because of TXT. TXT is a group that I kind of go back and forth on if I want to collect or not. I just kind of keep their album cards separate, plus the giant postcards that don't fit anything. So I did buy their albums for this comeback because I thought it was really good. I love the emo vibes. I am an emo kid through and through. And then I have their bigger lenticular cards here because they don't really fit anywhere else. So yeah, that is my very, very slow, not really ever going to collect too much binder. So now I will go into my A5 binders, my small ones, my teeny tiny ones. Okay, so before I went through my special card binders that I have, I realized that there were also 3 other 4-pocket binders that I had that weren't with my other binders, and that's because I had them in with the different collections of my K-pop groups. So that included 17 Face the Sun Carrot versions, as well as the Stray Kids Daikon for this past year. So we're going to go through those because they do technically count as binders. Like I said, Han is my ult bias of all time. So I do have a Daikon binder for him. And I know that these binders are not good for photocards. However, I don't plan to put all of these cards in a binder when I do just have these. So I do have these in bias order for me because it just made the most sense that way. So I did buy the Daikon set from the K-pop store that was in Detroit. It was when they were doing a deal, and so my friend and I ended up buying 2 of them. So I have this one, and she got a 17 one because they were doing Daikon sets, like buy one, get one, like $20 off. So I do have a full set of members here. I feel like if I ever wanted to, I could move them, but at this point, it looks good on my shelf, and I don't mind all that much. Then I have the group cards, and then the 2 special cards that came with Han's version. I don't know what to put here. I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll put some freebies in there or something. So yeah, that is his Daikon binder, and now I have 2 carrot versions. So the first of my carrot version is Seungkwan. Seungkwan is one of my biases in 17. However, I don't collect 17 very thoroughly. I do just kind of pick and choose, and I didn't really become a fan of 17 until Face the Sun-ish. Maybe the comeback before, but I really did like Face the Sun and all the songs on it, so I wanted to try my luck in getting a Seungkwan binder, and I was successful, thankfully. And I know that this is where, like, the photo cards would go, but I did not buy any of the other albums, so that is all that I have for Seungkwan's album. And so I do also have Joshua's, and Joshua's was just because I had bought another one trying to get June, but I do have Joshua, and Joshua is actually my girlfriend's bias, so I decided to keep him there with me. So I do have Joshua's set, and I think Joshua's set is so cute. Joshua is very cute, and I adore him. He's just not in my bias line. My bias line for 17 is, at this point, Seungkwan, June, Hoshi, and then Wonu, but I do not collect 17 like that. However, I will say FML did just come out, so that might change. Okay, lastly, we have my special photocard binders. So these are all 4-pocket binders, and these have any merch and the pre-order benefits of my ultimate biases. So in this one specifically, I do have Han, Yosang, Johnny, and Soho in here. And so this just has any, like, merch, any extra type benefits in here that I don't have either full bias sets for or something like that. And I do only collect kind of what I want, as well as different, like, freebies in here that are really, really cool. I do keep in here. For some eras, there are more cards because of just when I started to have this idea. But I, like I said, don't have any obligations to, like, growing these. These are just more so for different cards that I love and want to collect for. I do have them in here. So for example, Johnny's Daikon stuff is in here because I bought their old Daikon set from Mercari Japan, and so his doesn't have like a binder specifically, so I keep his stuff in here. I also have the other photo cards for Johnny's Two Baddies in here. So this is his Japanese photo cards and the extra other versions that I did not collect full member for. And then this is his nude daikon. Again, I bought this on Mercari Japan, so I do not have a binder for it. And then for Soho, I do have many a benefit from Blood Moon era because I found someone selling them for super, super cheap. Plus, I do have his polka version cards in here because I do not have a polka album. I just bought the set from someone on Mercari Japan. And that is it for this binder. So we have another one of these to go through. So this is another alt binder. My little ribbon that I had came off. I need to fix it. And so this has 5 of my other alts in it. It has Xiaojun, Yuki, Wubin, Jaehyun, and Shin in that order. So these photo cards I don't have many of, simply because either there's not a whole lot out for them that is easily accessible, or they have more older releases that I can't find. So some of these collections are pretty small. And then I do have the full set of the bunny photo cards in here for Purple Kiss because I did not want to separate these. They're just so precious. For Wubin though, I do have a lot of Wubin cards because he is super easy to buy in bulk for on Mercari Japan. So I will typically for one era buy a bulk set of benefits for him. I do want to get the Dear My Levity mini collect book and maybe move him into there because that would be adorable, but we'll see. And Jaehyun's is pretty short as well because I, again, just bought in bulk. And then we have Shin, who unfortunately just has one page because there's really not a lot of pre-order benefits for Ghost 9. So that is that full binder. So we have one more 4-pocket binder to go through. So this is the last 4-pocket one that I have. It is my photocard binder that has photo cards of my other biases that I either did not have room for in their bigger binders, or were just cards that I had that I did not want to get rid of. So if I joined a claim for my ultimate and then I did not end up getting my ultimate and I got another bias, that's where these guys go. So I have them split up by group just to keep it all together. And again, I have like a lot of freebies in here because some of the like really cool freebies. So these were actually made by someone on Twitter for when Hwanwoom did his different dance challenges. I have the blue one in my living room in a top loader because it's cute, but I just have a lot of cards that I do adore and I don't really want to get rid of. So they live in here. So the collection's pretty small and they're just cards that I, don't want to rehome. So yeah, that is it for all of my 4-pocket binders. And so the last one that I have is just a very tiny 3-pocket binder. So this is the last binder that I have. I know it's just a little El Cheapo one from Amazon, but this has a couple of cards in it from groups that I don't really collect. So I ended up getting this BTS card randomly. I do have Younghae's album, and then June is one of my 17 biases, so he is in here. Plus, these are the extra cards from a Devil set that I ordered and did not want to sell because I love Make Star. And I do have a couple of Rocky photo cards from Astro because I love Rocky very much. I don't stand Astro, however, I do love Rocky and Moonbin, so I had a friend who was selling Rocky photo cards and I snatched them up. Plus Seungkwan, I do love Seungkwan, and An Ode was one of my favorite albums concept-wise, so I wanted some of his photo cards. Plus I have a Hong Gorilla from Make Star, and then I downsized my Dreamcatcher collection. I only have one album of theirs now, and I do not have any more of the photo cards. So I only kept my favorite cards from my biases. And then same thing for Everglow. I downsized my Everglow collection, but I did keep my favorite cards from them. And my biases in Everglow are EU, Aisha, and Yeren. And then I have one lone Junmin photo card. I did have his Barnes & Noble and his Hello 82 benefits. However, he's not a bias, and so I traded him for my biases photo cards. So I have a lone US version in here. And then the rest are blank. So that is it for my photo card collection. So thank you for going on this journey of looking at my photo card collection with me. I hope to finish a lot of these collections in the near future, as I do have many that are only missing a couple of photo cards for, so maybe by the end of the year I'll have either a couple more finished or maybe a couple more started. So thank you again, and I hope that you love my little Hanji-san that I have on the screen.